Because I know that that book is filled with stories of overcomers.
Yes.
It's filled with stories of people who did what they did because they trusted in God. It's full of brothers who have lost, but then they found. Brothers who didn't have fathers, but then they found a mentor. So it is something that I think the world needs.
There is no perfect father. And so once we realize that, then everything else becomes easy.
I was explaining to him how, like, my son used to watch me go football, play basketball. I said, well, why not let me pray? I said, because sometimes we get to the point where we let the world tell us a lot of things, but people don't want to hear, but that's what we need. They need prayer, because you can't be with your kids 24 hours a day with God.
Hey everyone, my name is Tomika Douglas. I am the CEO of Silhouette in a Bottle. But I am starting my first launch with Silhouette After Hours. It's open up to the public. And what I mean by that, this is open to the public with different podcasts, different through the community. We may be talking about mental health. We may be talking about the importance of what's going on in our community and around the world. Not just that, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We're going to be helping people to get their business out there. If you wrote a book, we're going to talk about different books to get out there to the public, like we have right now, Fathers Matter. I'm just so honored today to be here on this amazing podcast. And my first launch, God allowed me to be around these great men with different stories and different backgrounds. So this is Silhouette After Hours. I have my co-host, which is Latonya Brown. She's going to introduce herself. Just know that this is the beginning of greatness right here. So I'm giving the floor to my co-host, and she's going to introduce herself and who she is. So nevertheless, this is Miss Latonya Brown.
Hello everyone, I'm Latonya Brown, Latonya Renee on Facebook. I'm just as excited as Tomika to be a part of this. Tomika and I have been talking about doing this for so long. We had the bug, I guess, about 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're finally getting it going, and I'm so excited about this. And I'm so excited to have these gentlemen in the room to talk about their book, Fathers Matter, because if you know me and if you follow me on Facebook, I'm very political. You know, I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I'm very vocal about a lot of things, you know, and I'm learning to be politically correct because I'm not all the time, you know, so I'm going to try to, you know, contain myself here today because this is a, you know, very important message.
Yes.
And so, you know, along with Tomika, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a federal government worker, so I have to also be careful about the things that I say. So yeah, I have an Airbnb, and I do events and I do catering at the La Casa Loft in Waldorf. So I'm excited today to be here. I'm excited to launch this with you, my friend.
Yes,
and I call her my twin because we are just so much alike. We don't look alike. We don't have the same mom, but our spirits are the same.
Yes.
So, you know, and it makes a great team.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Welcome to Silhouette
After Hours. Yes. So we're gonna let Mr. Anthony, this great guy right here, that he brought these wonderful men together. He's gonna introduce himself. He's gonna talk about his platform. He's gonna introduce every last guy. They're gonna tell you their name, and they're gonna tell you their titles and how they big in the community. And all of these men here is big in the community. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you, ladies. I thank you so much for having us with you tonight on your first podcast.
Yeah.
And we are honored as well to be here. First of all, my name is Anthony Mcallister, and I am the lead author in this anthology entitled Fathers Matter. This is an anthology that's full of stories from 17 men who have poured their heart and soul into this anthology. They've written their chapters on what fatherhood means to them. And so everyone that you see assembled here, in addition to the other co-authors that we have played a large role in this anthology. And although I call myself the lead author, I could not do this without my co-authors. And so I thank the brothers today for being here with me. The inspiration for this anthology came from my wife Tyrese Mcallister, who is an author and a powerhouse in her own right. She empowered me to pull these group of men together to create this anthology. And it came out of, my wife and I lost our youngest daughter in 2017 while she was home on college from spring break. She was randomly shot in Washington, D.C., no rhyme or reason. And to this day, they have not found anyone for the murder of my daughter. But what happened in that whole spectrum is that folks would often come up to me and say, "How is your wife?" Not really understanding that as a father, I lost just as much as my wife. But they would always focus on my wife. And so I said to her one day, "Does fathers even matter?" And so we came up with the concept of Fathers Matter. She pushed me, she prodded me, and she supported me in pulling this anthology together. And so today, you now see the fruits of all of our labor. Today, I have with me several of my co-authors. I'm going to go around the room and introduce them, and I'm going to start here with this dynamic brother, Mr. Sharif Shafi. And to my left, we've got Mr. Stanford Robinson. To his immediate left is Mr. Jason Whitley. The young brother here is Mr. Deontay Douglas. We have Mr. Emmett Burke, and the good soldier, Mr. Michael Parker. So these are just 6 of the brothers that struggled with me to pull this anthology together. Mm-hmm. And so that was the impetus of us doing the anthology, and here we are. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. We are really definitely honored to be here. Because one of the questions that I did want to ask you, you already touched on that, right? Because we definitely wanted to ask you, what inspired you to bring, to do this book?
Yeah.
You know, and you definitely answered one of the questions. And then we wanted to know, you know, did you know every last individual in this book? And how did they get handpicked, you know, to be in this book? So we want to let you answer that.
So everyone here in the room, I definitely have a connection with. Sharif was connected to me through my wife. They worked together, and so I've known Sharif over the years, but the definite connection came from my wife. Stan and Mike, we are co-deacons at Galilee Baptist Church, and so we serve the Lord together on Sundays at Galilee, and we try to do the leadership to assist our pastor at Galilee. This young man right here, I'm going to let him tell the story.
Yeah.
And he'll tell it when it's time for him to chat, but I have been in his life since he was 12. So Jason is my son.
Yes.
Mr. Douglas took care of my baby girl. She was in the cadet program. This is a man that I entrusted my daughter to. He would pick her up on Saturday morning. She wouldn't get up for anybody but Douglas. So when he came, she was up and she was ready to roll. And Mr. Burke, he came to me through my wife as well. Young man is so dynamic. He is a business owner. He owns a business in Alexandria, Virginia, and in Laurel, Maryland, correct? And he'll talk a little bit about that. That pretty much rounds out everyone here and how I got to know them. The other brothers in the anthology, probably about 85% of them are people that I knew. I'll mention one story that's in the anthology that's really a unique story. One of the guys in the anthology, George Coker, he actually went to college with my wife. And while they were in college, George, and it's unfortunate, but he murdered a young lady. But even in that plight, he's still in prison for that. But he still had to parent his children from prison. So my wife asked me if I would allow him to take part in this anthology. So we honored him by letting him be in the anthology, understanding that he made a terrible decision, but God will have the final say. And so we have that brother in here, and his story will definitely resonate. And some folks that are going through what he has gone through will get the glory out of his story.
And that kind of goes into the next question. Why did you feel it was important to write this book?
Yeah. I'm just going to be biased. I mean, I just think that a lot of times we as fathers are left out. I mean, we play a vital role when it comes to families. Every dad is not a deadbeat dad. Some fathers are present and they stand up for their families. When you have a young man who makes it to the NFL, even if his father and mother are together, when the camera gets on, what does he say? I'm And so that's just another instance of why we want to have men to take our rightful place. And we want the world to see that we are to be reckoned
And
with.
that's what I say, change the narrative.
Change the
Yeah,
narrative,
yeah,
and
right,
so
yeah.
that really is what we want to do. And I think you ladies have read the book, but you see that there are varying stories, and
Right.
everybody has a unique story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful, great stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we want to talk about these titles, right?
Yes.
So I definitely want to, tap into your title,
Yes.
right? And what made you pick the title, or did you already have a story, or did God already give you the title at the beginning? How did your title for your chapter?
Mhm.
How did that come about?
From pleasure to pain to peace. Pleasure, my life. I married my wife. We had two beautiful daughters, beautiful home, cars, home. Everything was going well. Pleasure.
Okay.
Pain. I lost my baby girl.
Okay.
And I could have lost my mind had I not done some of the things that I want to say is in my chapter. One of the things that is dynamic for me is that I went to therapy. Not to say therapy is the end all be all, but it was something that I did not shy away from. And the therapy for me and believing in God and trusting God brought the peace.
Yes.
So that kind of rounds out my chapter. And I did not know what my chapter was going to be until I started writing. My sister is an editor, and she really assisted me in a lot of the movement. She's a minister as well, and so she and I kind of pulled together and came up with that title. And I think it's very fitting for who I am and what I've been through.
Now, this isn't on the page, but did this story live in you? Like, was it, living in you to the point where you felt like, I need to get this written? Like, and if so, how long did that,
It's a
grew, I
struggle
guess,
because I'm not a writer. I mean,
Yeah.
the reality of writing is not easy, and I think these brothers can say it as well, but it's something that you go from day, you put something down and then you go back and you change it. And the thing that was a little easier for me is that I had co-wrote in my wife's book previous to this, and that is entitled Mind Over Matter.
Right.
And so I wrote a chapter in that book, and so it really gave me the juices of writing. So I took some of the things out of that book because I focused more in that book on losing my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how, had I not sought therapy, I would have lost my mind. And so that really gave me an idea of how to write. But writing for me is not easy. And so I think that as I continue to write, what's in me finally came out.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have one more chapter, and we're gonna move to the gentlemen because we definitely had some questions for them. And one of the questions is, how do you think this book is going to impact how people seeing our fathers now? Do you think this book, or just being on some social media is talking about it, you think this book is going to give us a platform finally for our men?
It is my sincere hope that it will be.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to toot your own horn. But what I will say is I know that book is filled with stories of overcomers.
Yes.
It's filled with stories of people who did what they did because they trusted in God.
Yes.
It's full of brothers who have lost, but then they found.
Yeah.
Brothers who didn't have fathers, but then they found a mentor.
Yes.
So it is something that I think the world needs.
Yes.
And I think what it will do is truly change the narrative of black fathers.
Absolutely. So we're going to go around this way. We're going to talk about the same question I asked you, the title, for your title. People don't know right now this is one of the best sellers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
people
talk about
need
that a
to
little
get,
bit.
Yeah. Let me jump in real quick.
Let's talk about the best
So,
sellers.
so we are on the Amazon bestsellers list.
Yes.
We came in at number 2 in the fathers category.
Yeah.
Forgive me if any of you brothers can remember, help me out, but there are 4 other categories, 5 total. Now Jason could probably talk about, and jump in if you want to do that,
Yeah,
talk
please,
about
please,
where we fail, and I think Jason's pulling it up, and he
Okay.
and that way, and if he does,
I do have it, it's in my phone because I got the,
Yeah.
Things,
yeah, but we actually came in several categories, in Amazon bestsellers, but anybody
That's
jump
awesome.
in.
Yeah.
That's
we
awesome.
came in
Yeah.
4th in parenting.
Yeah.
Does it tell you your book sales? How many books you've sold so far?
So what we try, well, I'm going to be a little cautious here. We try, each one of us have our own different platforms and websites
Yeah.
that we want to distribute the books.
Right.
Amazon is one way that you can purchase the book. Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have it here. Congratulations, best-selling author. Your book hit the Amazon Hot new release bestsellers list, #2 in fatherhood, #4 in Black and African American biographies and memoirs, #4 in parenting, I'm telling my age now. Number 6 in family relationships, and #7 in parenting and relationships.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. That's
That is
great.
huge,
Yeah,
and we're all
that's
to be
good.
congratulated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna go back to the titles, because everybody definitely, I'm not gonna tell the story, because I want everybody to get this book. So how much is the book? Right, we're not gonna talk about Amazon. We just talking about, because I'm talking about manually, because I'm gonna have these books at the shop,
Wonderful.
right? Because we have a lot of single moms that comes in the shop every day. We have a lot of women that
And I
come in
host
here.
a book club meeting at
Yeah.
my house
Wonderful.
every
Wonderful.
month. They do a brunch at my house. A bunch of women, so definitely we'll be promoting it there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
not just, we want hands-on, how much it costs, hands-on,
If
not
I-
Amazon.
If I were to sell you this book right here,
Right
it's
here.
$20.
Okay, so
If
that's
you-
what it is,
yeah,
$20.
And if you
Okay.
go to my website and
Uh-huh.
order it, it's $25, only because they're shipping and
Yeah,
handling.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah, that's what we need to
Yeah.
hear.
And I mean, we throw $20 away a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why not put it on something that's gonna last?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we're gonna start right here, your title of your chapter that's in the book. If you can, let us know, how did God lead you for that title?
Well, first, my name is Sharif Sheffi.
Yes.
And I want to say thank you to my ancestors and assalamu alaikum. My ancestors means a lot to me. And as a little boy, my mother and my father migrated. You know, they had a baby in New York and they migrated to back, up north. And so brought me down south and left me with my grandparents, with my great grandparents. And I was fortunate enough to be raised by those people. And my great grandmother, 3 times, I actually ate her food when she was a slave. And so everything I do is geared around what my grandfather told me: always protect your family, work hard, and everything will be okay.
Share that title with us. I have it here, but I'll let you
Well,
say it.
what?
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. Following my ancestors keep me humbled. I want you to talk about those 32 and the 26 years. And I read that, I was like, wow, this is really real.
Well, in the South, those old guys, they was hustlers. So all my grandfathers and my great grandfathers, for the most part, they made alcohol, moonshine. And so my father, he had 27 kids, and my father, who had multiple, both of them had multiple women, but my big daddy Bo Willie, he had 36 kids. And,
6 kids, I know, I've seen that.
and so he's
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
What was his name again?
Big Daddy Bo Willie. Perfect.
Big Daddy Bo Willie.
Yeah, he's,
Got my daddy beat. Okay.
So that's who they are. They was guys who have money, just like today. Guys who got money, a lot of times women's gonna flock to them.
Yeah.
And that's what they were.
So your title.
Well, my name is Stanford Robinson. My title is Fathers Praying Over Their Kids.
Yes.
Fathers Praying Over Their Kids. The way I came up with it, well, Anthony and I, like I said, Mike, we go to church together, but one day, me and Anthony going up to a game, see my son play ball, and my son had called me to pray with him. And Anthony was like, he said, man, Stan, that's what me, you do? I said, yeah, I've been doing this for a while. And he said, man, I like that. So then when he came up with the idea about, asking me to write the book, and he said, man, I want you to be in the book, man. You should write that as stuff. I said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, yeah, because I think more people need to hear that, because a lot of times, and I was explaining to him how, like, my son used to watch me throw a football, play basketball. I said, well, why not let them see me pray? I said, because sometimes we get into the point where we let the world tell us a lot of things, but people don't want to hear, but that's what we need. They need
Yeah.
prayer because you can't be with your kids 24 hours a day, but
That's
God
right.
can.
Yes,
Yeah.
So that what made me want to do that. Then I said, you know, we the equalizer. We make the impact in their life. We the equalizer. We have to do that. So that's what made me want to do that for them. Because like I said, my sons, I've been praying my sons, and now I'm stuck with my daughter for years.
And I read in the book where you said that you would call them up today and they would say to you, "Oh, we've already prayed that."
Yeah.
So it's instilled.
It's already
yeah,
instilled.
it's
And that's
there.
how it
Yeah.
is for me and my brother. You know, the foundation was already built as kids.
Right.
So now it's over to more for my kids.
Right.
And then my grandkids.
Right.
Like my grandbaby, my oldest grandbaby is 5. And you can't tell her she can't pray. She will pray you down, right? But we definitely have to continue to keep prayer in our families. Just like you said, my mother said she did. She didn't know anything else. She made sure that we made sure we knew how to pray because she couldn't be with us.
Yes.
And it's so crazy when I was out there running the streets, I could remember some of the prayers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't know the whole Bible, but I remember some of them scriptures
Right.
that got me back home.
Right.
You know, so but yeah, we gonna go to you. Your title. What made you write this title? How was it led? You know, what brought this title to you?
Well, in my answer is kind of going to go back as Anthony said. There's kind of a different connection between us.
I'm sorry, y'all. This
that
is Reverend.
we will-
Reverend Jason.
Jason.
Yes, my title for my chapter is Imperfect Men Moving Through Fatherhood, Moving Through Manhood to Fatherhood Through Mentorship. And the uniqueness about my chapter is also the uniqueness about my relationship with Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony has been my mentor since I was 12 years old. He's been the person that when I needed to get advice, that needed to get, understanding, needed direction, I could always go to him and get exactly what I needed, when I needed.
Yes.
And oftentimes that was a, good kick in the butt and a good kick in the right direction. But you need people that will, guide you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So what I talk about basically in my chapter is using the people around you to help benefit you to be a better man and a better father.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll give you a quick nugget. There is no perfect father.
No.
And so once we realize that, then everything else becomes easy.
Absolutely.
Or should become easy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so I want men just to grasp that first.
Yes.
And then once they grasp that, then they can start tapping into the people that's around them and use them for growth.
Yeah, because maybe that's why they run away, maybe that's why they don't put forth that effort because, they're thinking their expectations are so high.
Exactly.
And we as women, we do put men on a pedestal that no shade, but that y'all don't even put yourselves on, you know what I mean? And so we all need to bring it down and just kind of come together to say, hey, we in this together.
Yeah,
and it's for the benefit of the children at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Well said.
Yeah. Mr. Deontay, your title, what allowed you, what God brought to your heart, what made you bring that title, and what made you write that title?
My title was Deontay Douglas, her brother. But my title was The Principles of Fatherhood, and it was hard for me to come up with a thought process in the beginning because I didn't have my actual father in the household. So at that time, I didn't know what God had basically, kind of put in place for me until I got older. So as I got older, I realized, and this book had me to actually realize what he actually had done, as a child to a man, until I started writing it down. But the Principles of Fatherhood, where my uncles at the time were there without even knowing that they were allowing me and helping me build this young man that I was clueless. Most kids, their parents, if they don't get, what they want out of them, they think that the parent is not doing the right thing. Sometimes kids just need some type of guidance, and it might not just come from the home. And because I was first beating myself up because my father wasn't in the home. But and after a while, I had to look at it as a profound blessing that the pieces that he placed around me was there for a necessary good.
Right.
So I had to understand that even though you didn't have what you wanted, I gave you what you needed. And I had to realize that I don't need one thing. I can, you know what I'm saying, be driven by just God's grace. So that the principles of fatherhood, it was a lot of different things that each man and those 5 men taught me.
Your
and
uncles.
my uncles.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of wild stuff. But the crazy part about it is God was able to utilize what he wanted me to have out of their life. You know what I'm saying? And say, hey, yeah, this uncle did this, but I need you to focus on what he brings.
But he's
and
offering
what
his strength. His strength.
Right. So, and they didn't even, to them, they as brothers, they didn't even talk. You know what I'm saying? Because they would bicker back and forth where they were just years of not speaking. But it was still, I was able to still go to each one of them individually and pick out the best part of them.
Yes.
And that those principles of fatherhood would, I'm not going to tell you all the principles of fatherhood, but it allowed me to, you know what I'm saying, write what my story was at the time.
Amazing.
And then you also give back with your mentoring.
Yes.
too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the youth program that we've been doing since I was, and it came, and to be honest with you, it came from my uncles, because as a child, I was alone. I was watching other people take their kids to the basketball games and this, that, and the third, and to have these men come along and, hey, I'm gonna pick them up on, this day, and we're gonna go fishing. Or I'm gonna pick you up on such and such, and we're gonna go around down the street and we can just get some ice cream or something. So it was one of those things where the youth program allowed me to be there because people didn't realize you could have a mother and a father in the house, but a child can still be missing something. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where it allowed me to be that piece for most of these kids that were missing things that the parents might not have seen, or you might have a single mom that she couldn't relate to her son, and that was just there as a tool. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it's been.
My name is Emmett Burke. I just want to thank Mr. Anthony Mcallister again for including me in this process, because at the time of him asking me to be a part of this, I was a new father. It was a pandemic, and I was really just adjusting to being married. I now have 2 children. So my son was born August the 5th, so he'll be 3 months on Friday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'm definitely, as far as my title, it's a new beginning. Because my daughter was born in February 2020, and weeks after, literally, we felt the impact of the pandemic, and it was something that was new, that never happened in my lifetime. And it changed everything as far as how I interact with my family members, how I felt about myself, how I conduct my business. I'm an owner of a youth and family mental health counseling and therapy practice in Virginia and in Maryland. And I previously was in the school system as a teacher, so I always professionally have worked with children. I interacted with every aspect of reality, just in general. So I'm thankful to be a part of the process, and things that I spoke about in my chapter. Obviously, you have to check out the book to see what I spoke about. But I was also inspired by each and every author that was a part of this process, because at some moments I felt like I was like the youngest person that was a part of the book, because just being on the calls and listening and participating in the Zoom calls and just getting feedback, and then finally looking at the drafts and things like that, I'm like, wow. This stuff is really powerful. So even right here today, just finally getting to see some of the brothers in person, is something that it really makes me want to continue to work on, continue the journey on, and continue to have a positive impact, because Anthony, as Anthony said previously, he asked, do fathers matter? I never actually felt that way as of yet. However, I can see how that could take place based on my upbringing and my relationship with my father, and his relationship or lack thereof with his father. So I'm just thankful to be a part of the process, and New Beginning is the name of my chapter.
Yes.
And I'm in a new beginning now.
That's
Yes, you are. I just know it's so
Yes, you
crazy
are.
that you said we have to wait to read the book, even though, because I had a bunch of questions for you, boy. I just want to get it. I was like, okay, I love the story. Great story. Okay. Yeah.
And me, I'm Michael Parker. The name of my chapter is Sergeant. And I got that when Anthony first approached me about doing that. My dad, all my friends, my dad was neighborhood dad. I was truly blessed to have a good father. And one of the things that we were talking about earlier is my dad worked wee hours in the morning like these two. He would get up, he would get home at 8 in the morning on Saturday. We fished every Saturday unless the weather was bad. And not only was me and my two brothers, but he would get, hey, y'all want to bring some friends? We all pile in the back of a pickup truck when that was allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Now you go to jail for those. And we just didn't go around the corner. We would go like 20 miles. And we always wondered why we stayed out there so long. We got, okay, Dad, we got enough fish. Can we go home? Nope. So what we did, this is how I started being active in the community. We would take fish around the people's house and just give it away. Like, Dad, why are you giving fish away? He said, one thing, when you grow up, you're gonna understand. And Sarge, man, my brothers, when they get the book, they haven't got it yet. My brother's getting ready to have a birthday, so I want to surprise them. So they're gonna laugh. They're gonna laugh because it's gonna bring back memories. But I don't want to get too deep in the book. Me, I was a coach for my daughters basketball. I never thought that I would coach basketball year round. That means, from the rooter to the tutor. AAU, now we in Tennessee, we in Dallas, Texas, and I'm like, Dad, me, little old me, and I'm coaching girls that's playing at St. Bonaventure, Temple. I mean, these girls are gifted children.
Yes.
So when my daughter reached out to them and said, my dad's writing a book, make sure you tell your fathers. So, it really inspired me to do that, and I just thank God for you, man.
Yeah. Let me tell you that I understand AAU. I was the team. My ex-husband was the coach, and I've been all over this United States of America. I absolutely get you, and I love catfish.
Oh.
I just want you to know that. That's my favorite meal.
So, believe it or not, I'm surprised me and my wife been married for almost 22 years, and she was my team mom all these years. And Lord have mercy.
Yes.
Sometimes you want to look over there at the scores table and be like, be quiet, I'm the coach
Oh my
next year.
God. I got kicked out of so many gyms, you don't even know.
But let me say this. I'm not a fan of catfish, but I love the fish. My brother can tell you, we stayed on the water. I taught my son how to fish.
Okay.
My husband didn't know how to fish. We learned that from my father. And I showed him how to cut a worm. My husband looked at it and said, "Oh, I ain't touching that." And we learned that from my father, my uncles, especially one of my uncles, my Uncle Tony. And being on the water, it used to give me peace. Every time when I was stressed out when I was younger, I would just sit there by the water.
Yeah.
And as soon as I left, it was like it gave me energy.
Yeah.
And me and my brother and my sister, we can relate to the water. We love water. And when I listened to when I was reading your book and you was talking about how y'all used to stay out there instead of the other. So my brother, he had how many boats you probably had so far? He's how many? About 3 boats. He's a fisherman too.
And I have to shout out my 90-year-old grandfather who's a fisherman in Louisville, Kentucky.
Amen.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that. So
I just wanted to say one more thing. Mac, finally, I've been years trying to get Mac and Stan to go fishing with me. So
you gotta do it.
Mac went. He went to Miami.
Okay,
we went to Miami this year for a whole week.
Okay.
Me and my brother for the last 19 years, my wife and his wife allow us to go Father's Day fishing.
Good.
So we go in the Keys, somewhere in Florida. But Mac finally went.
Yes.
And the first day we went out 2 days. First day, and I'll be real quick. Mac was like, I ain't feeling this. The waves was over the top of the boat.
Oh my goodness.
And he was like, what did I let Mike get us to?
Was it a small boat?
It was probably about 38, 42 foot.
Oh,
okay.
Like out there on the water with no land.
I ain't seen nothing. I'm looking around, I see water. I'm like, oh, no.
But that's gonna be a part of our next anthology, to share some of the experience, but thank you for the opportunity to hear tonight.
Real quick, I just wanna ask all the men, when Mr. Anthony brought this, opportunity to you and this blessing, I'm gonna say it's a blessing, what made you say yes? What made you say, you know what, I'm gonna be a part of this?
Great question.
Well, two reasons. Ty actually, his wife, Dr. Tyrese, how you doing, sis? You know, she actually brought it to me through Douglas and then meeting Anthony because their child situation.
Yes.
And my son and Ayana was in the same class, and he was infatuated with this young lady. In fact, he was supposed to meet her that day, and I didn't know how to break it to him coming home. And he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, and so he was more stronger than I was because I was trying to tell my son that his friend, and I'm breaking down, man. And he was like, "Dad, I was supposed to be with her." And so that sort of put him into a whirl spin and a lot of rebelliousness. But Anthony asked me to come because, and I couldn't turn it down. There's no way I was gonna turn that down.
Yeah, wow.
You know, there's no way I was gonna turn it down.
What made you say yes?
What made me say yes is because me and Tyrese grew up together in Jersey, you know, so we grew up together. So I've been knowing Ty for a long time. And me and actually I was doing classes at the church, and I asked Tyrese to host a class, and everybody used to come to our class. They said we worked good together. And then one time Ty was saying, Ty said something to me about saying, you deep, you know, she said, "You deep on it." I said, you know, I'm okay. And then when Anthony, see, what also happened, because me and Anthony and us, we pray every morning. We get up 5 o'clock every morning and pray. Me, him, and another deacon in our church. So when Anthony came to it with me, it just got in my spirit. And then, like I said, y'all think I watched his kids when they were young. So, especially when, you know, you have to, like you said, getting prayer out there. You don't hear that a lot.
That's
you
it.
That out. You don't, everybody overlooks that.
Right.
So I felt like I wanted to do that.
What made you say yes?
I think the only time I've ever said no to Anthony is probably when I did something wrong and he was trying to, and I was trying to get out of, like, no, I didn't do it. Other than that, I mean, there's never been a time that he ever needs to call on me and I'll say no.
Right.
I mean, he's been more than most to me.
Yes.
So.
And I'm gonna say for Jason to be a part of this, it wasn't easy for him. Jason had a lot of devil attacks while he was trying to do this, and he persevered and he made a way, and God is gonna bless him because he was obedient.
Amen. Mr. Douglas, what made you say yes?
To be totally honest with you, you know, every, you know, few years that God gives me a profound assignment. And when God gives me that assignment, I can't be disobedient. So when Anthony came over the phone and said, "Hey, you know, I want you to do this, that, and the third," the energy that he came over that phone with, and the way that God allows me to say, pick and choose who I, you know what I'm saying, clear assignments with.
Right.
God said, "No, this is it." You know what I'm saying? And the whole concept of the book, you know, had me to remind myself of, like, when they said that Jesus, you know, had this loaf of bread, and he fed, you know, thousands of people with one loaf, and God was just like, that book that these men, you know what I'm saying, are embarking on, I want you to be a part of that because it's going to feed thousands of people. So I could not be disobedient in that. So that's what that was.
Definitely gonna feed a lot of people. This book. What made you say yes?
Oh man, I'm gonna try to keep this short. I would just say that
Do your thing.
You know, Tyrese, Dr. Tyrese Mcallister. She came into my life at a very interesting time as like a young business owner. She's currently part of my clinical staff and has been since about 7-8 years now. At a time where my wife and I, we were not married at the time, we're trying to figure it out, trying to get over the humps of just starting a new business and going into the field, making the transition from employment to being self-employed. And my mother and my aunt were at Congressional Black Caucus, and we used to do all types of different things to try to get staff, get clients. So they would like go into the things and they would ask the question, and they would try to like promote the business and say, my son or my nephew, whatever, this is going on. And Tyrese happened to be in the audience. And she came up to my mom afterwards. I was like going to the next speaking thing, and whichever one they came out of was like for women only, on that particular one. And I'm like going to the next thing, and my mom's kind of trying to stop me and tell me, like, this woman stopped me and said that she's a therapist in Virginia, her husband is in juvenile justice right in Alexandria, and she's like, I know that the courthouse is close to your office building and all this. I'm like, Mom, okay, so why are you telling me all this? She was like, oh, well, she said she can help you, she can help us, da-da-da-da. So I'm like, people say that all the time, but Tyrese didn't know us from wherever. She just came up to us, and ever since that day, she's been like a part of our family. So when the youngest daughter transitioned, you know, I just knew that, just knowing the type of people they were, you know, she invited us into their home. Anthony have done things that tried to help us from all different angles. And it has actually worked, and we have grown to now being licensed in Maryland, providing services as well. And he has done so much without even asking for anything in return. So when he asked me to be a part of the book, I was telling my wife, like, I mean, we just had a child. It's like a pandemic. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. You know, you're stressed out. All types of stuff going on. I'm like, I didn't really feel that I was going to tell him, like, you know, Anthony, I appreciate it. And I felt, she was like, my wife was like, you gonna let them down like that? All the things that they've done. I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's just that I'm just starting, Father. I don't know, you know, whatever. So she was like, just give it a chance and see what's going on. We did the calls, and the publisher was excellent. The questionnaire. I talked to Tyrese like on the side on some separate things, just to help me, because we do a lot of writing in our field, but not this type of writing. This type of writing is totally different. So going through the process and being patient and listening to my wife, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And now I'm so glad that I committed to it, because it has opened up opportunities. And I literally just got my books a couple of days ago. My mother and my other family members have been, and we did the 12 o'clock thing with the Amazon. We put it out there. I had people, I don't know who bought what, but I shared it with a bunch of people I haven't talked to in years. And people started to get feedback, like, I want the hard copy. I want to buy the hard copy. So I'm like, hold on, wait till I get mine. You can get them from Amazon. I was looking for something. Some people did, they went ahead and they've read different parts, and they're asking me different things about other people in the book, and I'm like, man, I gotta read this so I can have conversation or whatever. So I couldn't say no. I wanted to say no because I didn't feel I was deserving or ready, because I literally had just started my, like, weeks into my fatherhood journey. So that's I couldn't say no, but I wanted to.
Let me say this. With any time that God presents something to you, I know my brother a little older than you, and even when you think you're not ready, he already know you're ready.
Oh, he does.
Right? Yeah. Even though you might be a new father, but he already said that you was ready. He already ordained this for you to be in this book. He already knew that you was coming. He already knew that y'all was going to get lined up. He already knew that she was going to say yes. So you definitely was supposed to be in this book. For sure. It's no doubt that every last person that God placed in this book was supposed to be in this book. For sure.
And always remember, he doesn't give you too much to handle. Everything he brings you to, he's going to bring you through.
Yeah, absolutely. What made you say yes, Mr. Michael?
It was easy. All of us know Mac at different levels. And, I'm gonna have y'all laughing. Mac and Dr. Tyrese gonna kill me, but my daughters, I have two daughters like him, and his daughters mentored mine. And so that was a rough day for us. I won't get into it, but anyway, our nickname for Mac and Tyrese was Biggie and Fake Evans.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Tyrese, don't kill me, please.
But Fake Evans isn't too bad. that big.
You know, me and my wife used to laugh about it,
her.
but I didn't understand. I didn't know that my daughters were listening. So sometimes they'd be like, Dad, they're gonna be in fake. They didn't say fake. They said fake like I always say.
Oh, she gonna get.
Yeah, she gonna kill me.
yeah.
So Lord forgive me. But just the relationship that we developed over the years made it easy. And then I took a step back and I'm like, wow, this could be something big. I don't think all of us had an idea of the level that God is going to have for us to go.
Yes,
so
yes.
I kind of looked at this and I was like, okay, it's a chance for me to pay homage to my dad. He's been deceased since '93. So it's been a long time. So this is the way for me to share my story, my father, through Mac. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. So another question I want to know, is this your first book that you in? Do you have any other books that's maybe coming? Any things that you may be thinking of?
Or any other project?
Any other projects?
Is that for me?
That we want to go around the room. So we're
Good,
going to, yes. So we're going
That was a lot.
to, yeah. So
That
we're
was
going
a
to
lot.
start, y'all.
Well,
Is this your first book?
well, yes, this is my first book, and I have, as we speak right now, I'm working on 2 other books.
Wow.
One is on reparations, and the other one's on police misconduct. Building a database.
I ain't do it.
I can't wait to read that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, but like the brother said, this book has done so much for me because you have this thing called like hidden. You hide yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it brought out some things in me, and I was crying, I was upset, I was frustrated. And like the young man said, he said he didn't want to do it. It was many times that I was like, no, I'm not doing this because it was hurting. It was my personal business.
Yes, yes.
You know, and it was like, you know, how can you do it? You know, how can you do it? And so it's like, it was very emotional for me.
Because you mentioned trauma in your book, so you kind of relive that.
Yeah, and when you have to bring that stuff back up, it's like, but then, you know, I started realizing that I was healing myself.
Yes.
And, and God gave me the strength and my ancestors made sure that I pulled through.
So is this your first book?
No, it's not, but it is my first as the lead author. Prior to this book coming out, my wife and I have another anthology, and she was the lead author in that one, and it's called Mind Over Matter. So what she did in that anthology, she had 14 co-authors who had mental health diagnoses, and she had them to write chapters on their diagnosis and how they have continued to move and live a normal life even with those mental health diagnoses. And I wrote in that book pretty much about losing my daughter but not losing my mind, and so how therapy kind of moved me through that. But this is the baby of the bunch. I put my heart and soul into this because this is about who I am, and it's about men. And I'll share a couple of other things. My wife and I also have a private practice, Clinical Forensic Associates. We also have a foundation that we put together after losing my daughter. And with this foundation, we give away scholarships every year to kids on their way to college. And so we try to do everything as community. We give away more than we sell. We try to bless people with whatever we do. And if we're not blessing folks, then we probably shouldn't be in it. My wife is a therapist, and not to just say it because she's my wife, she's good at what she does. And I've watched people change their lives by being connected to her. And so she looks at this as her baby as well because she brought some of the brothers to the table. So this is, this and the other book are the 2 books that I've been a part of.
This is your first book, sir?
Yeah, this is my first book. Yeah, this is my first book. I don't know if I'm gonna do another one or not. I'm not for sure. Actually, I ain't gonna say that for sure. I don't know, but this is my first one. And like I said, you know, some people bring the best out of you. You know, Mac brought the best out of me. Then, you know, what the good thing about it, my 3 sons and my daughter, the input of them kind of motivated me. Kind of motivated me to do it too because I asked them a lot of questions. How do they feel about it? You know. So then, with my wife's support, I just said, I'm gonna go do it. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna know that right now. I can't say that.
So let me ask you another question. So so you said not right now, but any other projects outside of the book that you got going on that you probably want to share with the community that you have going on in the future that you just want to share?
Not right now. Right now, I just want to focus on this right here because I believe this right here was a good thing for me because it brought a lot of stuff out of me to do it. Because like what brother said right here, sometimes you hold back from doing things.
Yes.
Cause I'm a low key guy. You know what I mean? I don't have to speak out and everything.
Right.
I can, you don't have to make an impact by always saying everything. So I'm a kind of low key guy, but then I'm very involved in my church, which is a good thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but like I said, if the opportunity come up again, if I feel like I may do it.
Okay. Beautiful. Is this your first book? Or?
This is my first book, and I am in the process of writing another book. As a young, well, not a young minister now, I started in ministry when I was 17. And so I've been in ministry now for 25 plus years. And to grow in ministry, there's some things that I think other associate ministers who are not pastors need to know about growing themselves to get to where they need to be spiritually and as an associate to work under a pastor. And so my next book is geared towards telling my story of how I was able to get to that point and help other people to be able to do the same, hopefully.
Wonderful.
Is this your first book, sir?
Oh, this is definitely my first book. and to be honest with you, I believe that because it was more personal, that's why I was able to get it done. I probably couldn't write something that's fiction or write, you know what I'm saying, take a long time to do that.
Yeah.
But because it was personal, it was easy for me to just focus in on what God wanted me to say in the book, So as far as anything extra outside of the book, I'm one of them type of people that even with the youth program and everything else that I've done and traveling all over when I was in the military, I just wait for God's next assignment. And right now, I don't foresee the next assignment right now, but I know that it's coming. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is, but I know it's coming. So.
Is this your first book, sir?
This is definitely my first book. My first time get introduced to the concept of an anthology, and also working with people that you don't know, but being brought together for a common cause. So I admire Mr. Mcallister for that because it's a lot that goes into it, and getting introduced to that publishing side, and then how to bring people together, how to organize. Obviously, I don't know what he went through day in, day out
There's a lot.
I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Can we do a show on that?
I'm sure it was a lot. So this is my first book. I do foresee other publications in the future for myself. However, this is my first.
This is definitely my first, and I really enjoyed it. And I've already talked to Mac if we do this again that I don't want to be the lead because I already know what he went through. We talk all the time. I don't think that I can devote that much time because I'm a government employee as well, and I'm getting 4 years from the retirement. So that's my goal is to be a black man and can retire and live retirement. So I could see following his lead again. I wouldn't want to lead, but I know my brothers, we talked about doing something. So if Matt want to do something, I think I got their attention. They don't know about this though. That just happened out of the blue. I was like, hey, you guys ever thought about writing your book? Especially my oldest brother. He's in the military, had MS, and he has a lot. And me and Mac talk about it all the time, as well as my youngest brother. He went to college and then he started working for Papa John being a driver. Now he's a general manager. So I think it'd be something I would think about in the future.
Okay, so I have one last question. So what do you want fathers to get from this book? And do you think it would change how people look at fathers? and you can go around.
Okay. You want to start? I'll start. I think what I will say is that this is really a teaching tool for fathers. And so if you have a young father like Emmett, there's a story for you. If you have a father that's a mentor, I've got something in there for you. If you want to pray with your children, there's another piece. So when you look at everybody, and you're just talking about the brothers here in the room, but there are other stories. And so it really is a teaching tool. If you read this book and you know somebody that's a father on whatever level, this book can assist them. They may not want to go that path, but they may encounter the same problems that someone else encountered. And so I would say to fathers that pick it up, read it. Ladies, if you have men in your life, get the book for them. It's getting close to the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas gifts, goodie bags. Fathers matter at Christmas and Thanksgiving. And that's all I got.
Well, I know it's gonna impact fathers. I do a exhibit as a slave, and I was talking about, during the exhibit, I was talking about Fathers Matter, and a white man walked up to me and he said, well, I'm a single parent and I wish that I could get the book, and I really wish that I could give him that book, because for this guy to come up and start talking like the injuries that fathers have, a lot of people don't understand, like, we have injuries, but we cover them up. And a lot of times, I don't want to fight with my ex. I don't want to fight with her family. I just want to have my sons. I just want to have my kids. And so, in this book, it should give people an opportunity to understand, like, you're not in it by yourself, and it's almost like a dictionary for you. You can go and get some information.
That's a good point.
And fathers that are not there, that are not there on this level or in the home, it's like the impact that it would make on those. And I would love for those fathers to be able to get a hold of this book, because those are the ones that actually need it. Just had to add that in.
All right, thank you.
Because I have 2 grandsons and their fathers are not there. And the kids, so they have their grandfather. My ex-husband is there. But I cannot stand to see them, suffering without having their fathers, And I'm in the backyard throwing football with them, and I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm doing this and not their dads. You know what I mean? So,
and I definitely want younger kids to be able to get this book, to let them know that they can still overcome without the fathers being there. You know what I mean? They have to know they can still overcome, because a lot of kids, commit suicide because they want their fathers to be there. But just like my brother said, like, our father wasn't in the home, but look at him. He's amazing father. He's amazing husband. He's amazing brother. He's amazing son. And the mentorship. To let them know that it's not over for them because the fathers is not there.
And I think this should be in the schools, the libraries, the prison system, because where we at, that's where it should be at.
Absolutely.
I think that enough of us is out there, we're gonna make it happen.
We're gonna make it happen.
Absolutely. And y'all just don't know, I'm still excited that I'm part of it. Because I know that, because God allowed y'all to come together. I probably be saying y'all on Oprah soon, because this is huge.
And you know what does it for us? Because tonight is really opened something up for me. Because we did the book, we worked through it, the book came out, and now we're all trying to sell the book. But tonight really showed me that impact that this book has on women. And if you all are so excited about reading this book, can you imagine other folks getting it and reading it? So I'm excited, and you all have empowered me to go out and do more than just sit back.
You don't have to just promote it to men. You have a big audience out there.
Absolutely.
So the world is ready for y'all, and we've been waiting. Everybody been waiting for y'all for a long time. So I'm excited where God is about to take y'all, the journey. So just get ready. Just get ready, cause it's go time.
It's
definitely go time. So,
I remember the
That's the
question.
question, yeah.
okay, sorry.
I'm like the brother Sharice said, this book need to go a lot of places, and that's why I talked about praying, because praying can bring the fathers back once they get this book. And then also, just sometimes you have fathers in the house, don't mean they're still in their life.
Right.
So that's the difference too. So sometimes
Exactly.
because you think you're in the household, that don't mean you're in their life.
That's
Right.
right.
So, cause I wasn't, I divorced my first wife, my young sons were young, I wasn't in their house, but I was in their life.
Right.
I said, that was the key, that's the
Yeah.
prayer thing started for me, so,
Yeah.
you could be in the house, but you don't mean you're in their life.
That's it.
So that's the key, so like I said, when you get this book, you start praying, God can change anything, He can bring those fathers back, because sometimes some of them away, because like brother said, you don't wanna fight with your mother, cause it's a lot of little, they cripple them sometimes.
Yeah,
They cripple them
absolutely,
sometimes.
absolutely.
So, and like you said, you don't need
And
to
the
be
kids
fighting
are the
with each
ones
other.
that suffer.
Right, you don't need to be
Yeah.
fighting and fussing, we need to be coming, we ain't gotta be
Right.
together to raise the child.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's why I think this book, I know this book gonna make an impact
Oh,
on my
yeah.
life.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me say this. The first thing I wanted to do with this was give my sons, I have 3 sons and 1 daughter. And specifically, I wanted to give them something that they could use to aid them in being better. When they ask me, I tell them, I wrote the book for you. That's, they're first.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because without them, I wouldn't be, number one, I wouldn't be a father.
Right.
That's fine.
But, I wouldn't even be the man that I am. I've had to use even the lessons, that I've learned in fatherhood to help me be a better father. And so, as I stated earlier, there's no perfect father. Get that out the window, and now let's get the book and try to figure out how to become a better father.
Yes.
And if you understand that, then your desire should be to be running to go grab this book, so that you can sit here and try to figure out, what ways that I haven't thought about that I can become better.
Right.
Because a lot of times we miss things, even in the stories that these gentlemen have talked, and me as being a father, there's some things that I've picked up that I can go in and take place and do in my own home with my own sons. So it helps me every day, and I want it to be able to be a benefit to other fathers and other children to do the same.
But there's a lot of times when I was growing up that I was aloof, like, I was alone, I'm going to, because I didn't know which angle to go, and so you would be in a closet by yourself, or you would just be walking down the street by yourself. So if I had something as a life skill tool, you know what I'm saying, that I could have like started out with, you know what I'm saying, before I had to, it's good to look at men and get an idea of where you should be. But just to have a tool, we didn't have a tool. You know what I'm saying? There was no, pamphlet to guide you on what where you should be. So a lot of young people that I see nowadays, they gravitate to so many things that okay, let me get the new Kobe's, let me get the this, that, and the third. But they don't realize that the life skills that they need to get forward in the society, they just gave it to you on the platform. And these are just regular men. These ain't NBA stars. These ain't, these are regular men giving their regular stories. And 90% of the time, you're gonna be a regular person. So this is the best way. Yeah, this is the best way to, to affect anybody's life, is giving them a life skill too.
What I want to say is just that this book isn't just for men. It's not just for fathers. We on a podcast hosted by 2 extraordinary women, and my mother made me realize that before she even saw the book or read the book, or even knew, she just knew about me doing it, but she automatically knew that, as the brother said here, these are regular people. We're regular everyday people dealing with everything that's going on, and what's taking place socially. This is what's missing. I'm going to be honest with you. As far as masculinity, as far as a healthy masculinity and fatherhood, and I feel like the book is a tool that anyone can use. It's not limited to black men, white men, whatever, family, child, adult. because what's in here is life experiences and wisdom that's being channeled through a fatherly experience and a fatherly comprehension. But
Going all the way down to great grandparents.
Great
grandparents.
And we all can utilize that tool.
Yes, absolutely.
So, do I think it's gonna have an impact? Of course. I mean, it's gonna be here forever. Way beyond us just sitting here talking about it, and the fact that it has like the biographies at the end, and so many people will be able to come together and do it. That also shows you, about working together, staying together, working together, teaming up, making something happen.
Yes.
In very interesting times that we live in.
Right.
So this is a
That's an understatement.
That project, and it's going to be around. It's going to have an impact. It's having an impact before we even.
Oh yeah.
We can't even see it.
Before we can't even see it. So
Absolutely.
And it gets past the fact that the stigma of saying that we can't work together.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Change the narrative to say we can't work together to get one common good thing out. So that's the plus.
That's a plus.
This project is kind of like ahead of its time a little bit. When
Yeah.
you really look at it, because we developed this, and Anthony put this together during a time where we couldn't even sit down and do this.
Right.
We were afraid to be amongst each other. And part of that is, rightfully so. And part
And
of
this
that
was birthed
is
from all of that.
Yes.
redirect people to prevent us from doing it.
Right.
Yes.
So we were able to do that during this time. So,
Ahead of its time, but long overdue.
Definitely long overdue.
I think the book is definitely gonna be monumental. One of the things our pastor always says, iron sharpens iron. That's not black men iron, that's all men iron. And now to know that women are really gonna be buying the book to, for their husband or brothers or their fathers. You never know. I really see this book being an impact for a long time coming. And the thing that I always tease my wife about, she's a construction engineer, and she's been a part of doing Branch Avenue and the DC Convention Center. So I said, those are things that our kids can tell their kids that, hey, your mom or your grandmom or your great grandma helped build these buildings. Now this is my way of being able to show generation after generation. Hey, my grandfather, my great grandfather, our ancestors, like he always say, kids, in my family and all of our family can read this book for a long time.
Absolutely. Wonderful. I don't have another question, but I do have a suggestion. So, I think it's, at the beginning of your book, you have a poem, Reflections.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you would, if we have time, if you want to read that poem. Unless you have any other questions.
No, I think.
I would love to hear it from a woman's voice. Can I tell you about the poem as you read it?
Everybody does this to me all the time.
You put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that poem was actually written, right, by one of my best friends.
Oh, wow.
He's currently in prison. And he's in prison, and I gave him an opportunity, because we've been friends since we were little kids. And I gave him an opportunity to write a poem. He sent it to me. I had it typed up, and we had it entered into the manuscript. But he's a great guy, and has just gotten caught up in some devil situations. But his heart is pure. He's a big brother. I spoke with him yesterday, and I'm going to be sending the book to him soon. He's excited. Can you imagine coming out of a devil situation, and you're already a accomplished bestseller now?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, since I put my foot in my mouth, take my glasses off so I can see. Okay, so Reflections by Frederick C. Hannett. In the world in which we live, one thing is crystal clear. There is no way without a father could we have gotten here. Traveling life's perilous past is impossible without another chosen for such a remedial task. A father and a mother searching the word of God for the answer. I found Genesis to Revelations. It was spreading like cancer. Providing life and sound advice is fruitful in every way. Strong affection and protection, keeping enemies at bay. Breaking the fallow grounds of life, the seed later to be sown. Trusting God without a doubt for everything unknown. Allowing proper room for growth whenever it is needed. never neglecting chastisement, so every word is heeded. Love has him clear the path of life, so that you would not stumble. Walking with wisdom a long trail, exalted yet very humble. In calculating spiritual morals and values written in stone, saturating the mind and heart, quickened through tissue and bone. This is the calling of our fathers, to love, to protect, and to provide. 'Tis the vocation of his children to love and instruction abide. A family without a father is like the cake without the batter. Void the thought, it is plain to see that fathers really matter.
We can end the podcast on that
That's
beautiful
exactly
poem.
what I
Excellent.
had in mind.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Once again, thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes,
very
thank
much.
y'all for
Really
having-
appreciate
thank
it.
y'all for coming.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Good job, ladies.
Congratulations. I thank God we are at the end of this beautiful podcast. This is just the beginning. God allowed me to bring great people together in our communities, in our world. So be looking out for our next podcast, which will be next Wednesday. It will always be at 7 o'clock. So stay tuned for Silhouette After Hours. And we will not always stay in this room. We will be going to people's business and showing face. So good night, and thank you, Latonya, for sharing this with me. Something
Thank you
that
for having me.
to be able to share it with all of y'all.
Thank you again.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I've been cutting officially for 4 years. I just want to tell y'all, keep on pushing, man. You know what I'm saying? Just come through main event, come get a cut, we'll give you some words of wisdom. I'ma holler at y'all.
Hello, hey, how you doing? Just some encouraging words for the brothers out there. Stay encouraged, follow God, put God first in your life, and all things fall into place.
Hello, from the main event community, we want to tell you to stay focused, stay positive, and look long term. Not short term, but look long term. We're here to encourage you. If you need anything, call us, Main Event Sports Barbershop. Thank you for allowing us to pour into you or to give some encouraging words.
Fathers matter. OMG. My name is David Grogan, and I'm from Prince George's County. And I truly believe deep in my heart that fathers matter. What does it mean to be a father? Well, I'm a proud father of a beautiful young lady, a daughter who's now 23 years old. There was nothing on this planet more rewarding than raising a young lady now. Fathers, know that your job is so important. You have to be there. They look to you for guidance. I don't think that it can be done effectively without men. Fathers, you must do whatever it takes. I know there's challenges. Let's just be real. We're going to keep it 1800, as they say. Sometimes it's going to be challenges with moms and different circumstances. But you as a father, your daughter or your son thinks that you're Superman. When they're born, their eyes light up because they think that you're Superman. That means that you have to always operate at a high level. That means that you must stay in it no matter what. I don't care what the devil does. The devil will try to get you out of there. Don't let the devil get you out of there. You do whatever it takes and never leave your children, because your children will always know that fathers matter. Someone once told me that a girl without a father is left with a hole in her soul that she spends the rest of her life trying to fill. So we don't ever want to do that. We can make a difference, men. We can stay in our children's lives. We can enjoy them, those little girls. My little girl went to a wedding one time. I just never forget. She didn't understand the wedding. She thought, Daddy, I want to marry you. She was about 3 years old. I said, no, baby, you can't marry me. I'm going to find you a husband.